All right, one of our questions for today's forum was sent through the video sharing website YouTube. Here's that question, Secretary, from Leandro Perez of Barangay Santo Niño, Marikina City.
Activist and part of the First Time Voters Network. I have the chance to talk with you, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. I just want to clarify some questions regarding your State Department reports on the issues on human rights violations by the Philippine government and by the armed forces of the Philippines. What is your position regarding these issues, and what are your concrete proposals or concrete actions to end the conflict here in our country? Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I'm delighted to know that this forum here at the university is connected up to so many places around the country and maybe even beyond the country. I think that there are Filipinos who live elsewhere outside of the country who are actually tuned in. So I say hello to everyone. The United States believes very strongly in the importance of human rights. It is something that is part of our founding documents, the Bill of Rights, which you know has had an influence on your own Constitution and your own Bill of Rights. And it is very important that we constantly work toward protecting human rights. Now, it is difficult even in my own country. We are not perfect. I will be the first to say that. But it is important to keep trying. It's important to have an independent judiciary that keeps trying. It's important to have a military and a police force that is sensitive to that. It's important for the faith community to speak out on behalf of human rights. And I know that there has been some questions here in the Philippines, but I also know that there have also been some very important efforts to try to deal with human rights problems. So it's not perfect here like it's not perfect anywhere. And it's up to civil society to constantly be making human rights an issue inside of your own country. The United States will help. We will provide training and support to be sure that the institutions of government are protecting human rights. And I'm encouraged by what I hear about the progress in the peace efforts that are going on between the government and MILF, and that it is hopeful that there can be a resolution of the conflict. You know, I really believe that negotiation to end conflicts and not being discouraged is really important. The MILF is going to continue in the process with the monitoring or the facilitating role that the contact group, and particularly Malaysia, is playing. And I hope it comes to a very positive result because there's so much work to be done in the Philippines. You know, to go back to the very first question about poverty, there's so much work to lift up people and provide more opportunity for people, that conflicts need to be resolved so that you can focus on trying to help each individual live up to his or her God-given potential.
Can I just follow up? You talked about human rights, and for a while the State Department was critical of the Philippines' performance in terms of human rights. How would you gauge it now? Did you talk about it with President Arroyo?
We did. I talked about it in my official meetings, and the State Department has pointed out areas that we believe could be improved. And I was pleased that the International Labor Organization was recently here in the Philippines to talk about abuses against workers' rights, because it's not only human rights in a political conflict context, but it is also what happens with people who are trying to organize workers and other kinds of attempts to assert oneself in society. So we will continue to raise questions, but we will also continue, as a friend does, to offer whatever assistance we can.
Well, now, Secretary Clinton, let's go down to Mindanao, where we're joined by our anchor, Ces Orena de Ron. Ces, what do you have there?
Buenos dias, Maria, and assalamualaikum to you, Secretary Clinton. That is the greeting from Zamboangueños to you this morning. What about you, Ateneans? What's your greeting for Secretary Clinton? Well, as you know, Secretary Clinton, in contrast to the protests in Manila against the Visiting Forces Agreement, the people here in Mindanao are more accepting and even thankful for the presence of U.S. troops, particularly because they live in the shadow of terrorism and kidnapping. They have been living in the shadow of kidnapping and terrorism for many years now. But there are still a lot of burning concerns. For instance, how effective is the U.S. assistance in fighting terrorism? Do U.S. troops participate in combat operations? But I'm not asking the questions, and I would like to introduce to you our student here from the Ateneo de Zamboanga University. He is a third-year economics student, Mohamed Zen Nuno Johan. Secretary, he has lived in one of the first Muslim communities here in Zamboanga, and he is a Tausug by birth and traces his roots to Sulu. And his dreams are really to be able to see a Mindanao where Muslims and Christians can live peacefully together. Now, Johan, what is, or rather Zen, what is your question for Secretary Clinton?
Before I ask my questions, I'd like to greet Madam Secretary, good morning. My warmest greetings from the South. Assalamu alaikum. The United States and the Philippines have a long history. What is the direction of the Philippine-U.S. relationship?
So much, and greetings to all who are there. And I want to take your question and Cessa's comments and respond in this way. The United States and the Philippines do have a long history of partnership and of friendship, of alliance, and we want to continue to be a good friend and a good partner. In respect to the conflict in Mindanao, we have provided training and assistance, but not involvement in combat by United States forces. It is a facilitating and supportive role to fight those who would disrupt communities, who would engage in terrorist activities, unfortunately the kind of horrible acts like beheadings and kidnappings and the things that are so contrary to every religion, contrary to every faith. So I'm hoping that the conflict will be drawn to a close over the next months. I know that everyone's working very hard on that. But then there has to be a lot of dialogue between people. There has to be a commitment to build a better future. There are many examples of Christian and Muslim communities living very peacefully and productively side by side. And what we want for you is that same future, so that there will be the opportunity to pursue one's religious faith, but there will also be the equal opportunity to participate in one's society and to have one's opinions heard and respected and to be a full functioning citizen. So we are going to continue to provide support where appropriate in partnership and in pursuant of the friendship that we feel for the people of the Philippines.